Greetings gastronomes. Today I'm making spaghetti alla Puttanesca, which commonly known as the prostitute's pasta. The story goes, which could be apocryphal, but the story goes that prostitutes in Naples be working late at night, and they get hungry and they go to the restaurant to get a meal, and they're sold out of all the meat and all the nice things, and what you're left with is the cook will just cobble up something with whatever they had on hand, and what they had, it's Naples, right? So what they got on hand is tomatoes, garlic, anchovies, capers, preserved olives, chilies. That's what they had on hand, and that's that's the story, right? So they make a dish using those things. That's the story, which may or may not be true. But anyway, this is one of the things that I independently invented. I mean, I invent things like every day. I invent something, or every 2 days. And sometimes they've been done before and sometimes they haven't. This is one that has been done before, so good on you, Napoli, for inventing this dish. It's basically the idea of black olives, capers and tomatoes. It's a classic combination. Capers aren't used that much. Not used hugely in Australia. They are used. I mean, you can buy them in the supermarket. I did, so they're not. I mean, they are used. But they grow around it's a bush that grows around the Mediterranean, and the flower buds come out, and they pick the flower buds before they're fully developed. So before they turn into flowers, you pick them and you preserve them in salt and vinegar, I believe. They're not the greatest taste on their own, I've got to say. Not the greatest taste on their own, but they have this body to them. So they provide body to this dish, kind of a central thing that, gives the flavour of body, not the texture of body, but the flavour of body, which is what you usually need in a dish, is something with the body, the flavour body. So the heart of the flavour, and in this case it's the capers. So you don't want too many of them. They are, they're just there to give it the body. The flavour on their own is, it's not the greatest. Not the greatest. So the only thing I do differently in my version is I put half an onion in. The traditional one does not use onion, and I think that's where they're wrong. You do need the onion. In my opinion, you absolutely do need the onion. So, I'll cut an onion in half. I mean, you can just use one small onion will do the job just very nicely. Don't have to use half a large onion. Just that I went to the supermarket and I always buy large onions, because I normally want a large onion, for most things that I make that require onion, which is a lot of things. Onions are just a lovely thing, they're sweet-ish. They're a little bit sweet, and they're inoffensive. When they're cooked, they're inoffensive. Obviously, when they're raw, they're a lot more offensive. Anyway, we just dice up half an onion. Get a fry pan. For this recipe, non-stick fry pan is really good. We want a fair bit of oil, because there's not going to be any oil coming from anything else. So, at least two 2 or 3, probably 3 tablespoons of oil. We throw in the onion. And I'll get a teaspoon. Nice. Now, don't have to use chilli in this dish. You definitely don't have to. It's fine without it, but probably a bit less than a teaspoon. I mean, to your taste. If you want a spicy Puttanesca, then put more in. But really, it's not really about the chili, you know. It's the classic tomato, olives, capers. Oh, by the way, I've got a shitload of tomatoes coming out of my garden at the moment. I mean, that's some of them. I'm going to have to deal with those today. I've been, no, I've had a lot more than that. And, how we doing? I've had a lot more than that. Don't want to cook them too fast, don't want to burn them. That'd be bad. Right, yeah, I've had a lot of tomatoes, so I've been preserving tomatoes, making passata and freezing tomatoes and making tomato soup. So, don't overdo the capers. A heaped teaspoon of capers is good. We also want a decent sized clove of garlic. Decent clove of garlic's what we want. It doesn't want to give up its skin very easily. It's a shame that garlic in jars just isn't that good, you know. It's a shame. It'd be great if garlic in jars, minced pickled garlic, if it was really good. If it were really good, you'd never use anything else. Because, you know, it's a little bit of a pain having to peel and chop your garlic. A little bit of a pain. Easier just to pull it out of the jar. But unfortunately, what comes out of the jar isn't that good, in my opinion. It sucks. I've got to do a review on this. I'm going to do a review on a few things. There'll be one thing that I want to do a review on. Right, we should put the spaghetti on. This is a quick dish, quick, proper quick. So, usual story, 100 grams of spaghetti. And a little bit more for luck. Alright, put them away. Some salt in. You don't want too much salt in this dish, by the way. Just enough. Bring it to the boil. That's dealt with. So I've been preserving tomatoes. These are dried tomatoes, dry them in the oven, very low temperature, 50 degrees, dry them, and leave them in a jar with olive oil, and they last for easily last for a year. Right. So let's put these aromatics. Let me just put them aside for a sec while I dice the tomatoes. So you want about 3 medium-sized tomatoes. Some of these are a bit smaller than medium, so. But anyway, you want about 180 grams of tomatoes is what you want. So dice them up, you know, fine-ish, not super fine, but reasonably fine. You don't want great big chunks of tomato skin and tomatoes floating around in your pasta sauce. That's not what you want. So we just dice these up. Won't take long. Oh, so many tomatoes. Good year for tomatoes. And my choice of tomatoes is Apollos. These are all Apollos because they grow well here in Portland and they're not too big and not too small. Alright, so them done. Now we chuck in 2 or 3 anchovies. 1, 2 and a bit. A few little things here that aren't really proper size anchovies. Oh. Don't overdo the anchovies. This dish is a simple dish, but you want, like all simple dishes, you got to get it right. Man, I cannot get this bloody lid on. What the hell is going on? Let's rinse off that chopping board. My trusty chopping board. I'm going to need a knife. There's a couple of utensils here. Let's have a look at the spaghetti. Alright, get that sauce happening. Now, one critical thing in this that you really do need is pepper. The chilli is optional. Don't have to use chilli, but the pepper is not optional. You've got to have pepper. And just let it simmer away there. The anchovies will just gradually disintegrate as they cook. Put that away. Now the other thing we need, critical thing, is black olives. Not too many. So a quarter of a cup, this is all for one serving, so a quarter of a cup of black olives is what we want. So I'll just get a spoon and I'll spoon out, need a sieve because we don't want olive water going everywhere. So I'll just spoon out about 1/4 cup into the sieve. And just put them in, and if there's not enough, I'll add a few more. So I think I just add a few more. I mean, if you don't have to be too exact. I'm sure in Napoli they wouldn't be measuring them out with a 1/4 cup measurer. Now, a lot of recipes call for Kalamata olives. I'm not a fan of Kalamata olives. Don't like them. They're too bitter. Not very nice, in my opinion. They're not the nicest of olives. I much prefer black Spanish olives, because they're not so bitter. They're very mild flavour, and they're just nice. Nice mild flavour, really good. I like them. So, we're just waiting for the spaghetti to finish cooking. I'll just check the spaghetti. Come here, Pess. Not quite done. I like my spaghetti to be elastic. When it'll stretch a little bit, when it's elastic, that's when I consider it done. So, I'll come back when that happens. Right, spaghetti is done. Now I'm just going to put the black olives in the sauce and stir them around a bit. In my opinion, you don't want to cook the black olives too much, in my opinion. So just a little bit, that'll be enough. So just grab uno spaghetto. You see how much that's stretched? And it's sticky. Done. So just drain it with a sieve. Drain, drain, drain. And throw it straight into the sauce. Now I did experiment with putting in pasta water into the mix. I did experiment with this one, and in my opinion, it wasn't ideal. Adding extra pasta sauce was not ideal, in my opinion. It was just too much. Added too much starch and too much salt. Too much salt, too much starch, which I didn't like. So I just taste it. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So just let the spaghetti sit in the pan, the hot pan, for a little while, a minute or two, just to let the spaghetti will then absorb some of that tomato sauce. Some of the sauce will get absorbed into the spaghetti, and that will improve the overall effect. Alright. Let's have a look. If the stupid phone behave itself. God, I hate the modern world. It fired up Wikipedia. Why did it fire up Wikipedia? I didn't tell it to. Stupid. Stupid, guys. Stupid. Alright. Here we see the mixture in the pan. It is done. Ready to eat. So we're not going to muck around, we're just going to eat it. Gotta say, non-stick pans when they're really new, they're great. I mean, look, fantastic when they're new. Not so good when they get a bit older. Right, that's done. Those olives on top. It's steaming. Steaming. Let's have a look. Have a look at that. I'll come around where the light is. Oh yeah, steaming. Yo. Yo. So, this is a famous dish. Prostitute's pasta. Let's have a go at it. Yeah, it's a classic, all right. Sure enough it is. Quick and easy and very, very tasty. Well, the onion is really important, I think. It gives that lovely sweet extra thing that you don't get without it. Without it, you're just kind of missing it. So, all of you Puttanesca enthusiasts, if you haven't tried it with onion, try it with onion. Half an onion or one small onion. Fantastic combination. The chilli, very, very mild. 1 teaspoon of chilli flakes was not barely noticeable. It's just a little bit of a tingle on your tongue, that's all, just a little bit, not much. But you can add more if you want, or less, you can leave it out. It's really not critical because it's not all about the chilli. It's about the tomato, and of course fresh tomatoes. You saw the bucket picked out of the garden a couple of days ago, fresh. And you know, in my case, properly sun ripened in my garden, ripened in the sun, none of this bloody picked bullshit and send them to the supermarket's garbage. No, none of that. So, you know, the tomatoes, the main foundation of the sauce, I suppose. Now the capers, the famous capers, you don't really taste them explicitly, they're just in there, like the anchovies, they're in there, you don't explicitly taste them, but they give the flavour body. You know, it's kind of magical, really. How can you have flavour? How can something have flavour when you can't taste it? But it does. But it does. And without it, this dish will not work. Even though there's not a lot of them, they contribute to the flavour. And this dish is a strongly flavoured dish. Like it. All these strong flavours. Tomato, olives, capers, chilli, anchovies, all strong flavours, strong. So, because the flavours are so strong, this dish does not really want Parmesan cheese. I mean, you can add it to it if you have to, but it's not gonna benefit. The dish does not benefit from adding Parmesan cheese. I've tried it and it's not improved. You just eat it like this, and it's everything you need. And the flavour it actually tastes better as you go, because as it sits on the plate, it absorbs more and more of the sauce into the spaghetti. Just wonderful, wonderful. You make it, you can see why it's such a famous dish. It's great. It's a classic. Really good. If you haven't made it, make it. You saw how quick it was to make. Quick, easy and cheap. Cheap, quick, easy. And I've got to tell you the other thing. It's very filling. It's a really filling dish. So you'll eat this and it'll keep you going for most of the day. Surprisingly so. Surprisingly filling. You can see why the prostitutes needed it after working hard with their clients for half the night. So, absolute winner, well done. Whoever it was in Napoli that invented this, respect.